Oh yes, professionally remember to record the button for you, the person who is watching this after the event. Now, I've just been asked a question, and it's a very good one, and so good that I'll bring it back up here so I can read it. And they're saying, this person has asked the question, because it wasn't Nez, because he just put it in here, that I've already researched a product on IMS. I've got it's showing good stuff with regards to traffic, but I personally can't think of a product for it. And I said, this is a great thing to be asking. Great, great, great. Oh, damn it. Sorry about that. Pause. The reason this is such a good question is that it allows me to make a point. You're getting ahead of yourself. Did we talk about products today? Did I not say that products was the fourth thing that you should look up in a market symphony? If you haven't any experience of the market, you don't know. We're going to go through and we're going to show you that this week. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't knock stuff out until it's the right time for it to be knocked out. Trust me, you'll do plenty of knocking out this week. No need to knock one off prematurely. Okay, so don't do that. All right. Now let's have a look. Okay. Would approach be substantially different if promoting a product versus a service in the challenge? Or is it better to do both? Try a couple of niches for products and services. Wrong question. Wrong question. What have we been talking about the last 2 days? Markets. Whether it's a product that you'll end up being provided or a service, product or service, completely interchangeable term from my perspective. It's irrelevant because it's a product question or it's a service question. Service, product, interchangeable. You must focus on your market first. We'll get to products and services later, but you're asking a product or a service question, not a market question. We need to focus now on markets. I'm having problems with the Facebook app. Are there any known issues? I think there are a couple of little things, but it tends to be people who use Internet Explorer. Why are you using Internet Explorer, people? Seriously, look, I'm not going to blame you now because you may not have known what life was like when you can actually use the internet properly with a proper browser like Firefox, Flock, Safari, Chrome, anything other than that turgid piece of poo which is Internet Explorer. Hey, yeah, I know it was on Windows and it was provided with you for free, but it's total turgid crud. It actually does not show you how the internet actually looks. You'll look at the internet through Firefox and you go, oh my goodness, look at the internet. It's like been watching in Wizard of Oz when it goes from black and white to colour, after Dorothy, sort of face plants the Wicked Witch. That's what it's like when you go from Internet Explorer to a browser that actually functions. Seriously, if you're doing the 30-day challenge and you are doing it on Internet Explorer, if you're breathing and you're utilizing the internet and you're doing it through Internet Explorer, you are doing yourself a massive, 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 massive disservice. It takes more resources on your computer. The older your computer you've got, the more important it is to use a third-party browser. Have I made my point clear? So, thanks for letting me have that rant. But, no, there's no specific known issues. But again, I really do point out that the Facebook app's designed to be used inside of Facebook. Like, it's for people who live and breathe inside of Facebook. And so it's not designed to be jumped in and out of like you would the web version. If you know the web, use the web version. If you're comfortable with Facebook, use the Facebook version. There is, of course, and if you go to the Facebook app, you'll see the details of this. There's a support email and so on. So if you are having an issue, we've got people there who are only too happy to help. Can you tell me if the pre-seasons videos will still be available somewhere, or how can I access them? They're on the training page. In fact, let me show you. Here we are. basically where they are, if I bring this up here. Okay, so this is our training page, which you get to by pressing, funnily enough, the training button. And if you look, you'll see that the pre-season stuff is all down the bottom. So it's all there still, just down the bottom of the page instead of being up at the top end. So just for those of you who are looking for it, there it is. Okay, next question. Okay, we've got that. Yep. Can you please add the UK time to the showing times, as working out the weird multi-American time zones is an ass. One country can have one time zone. Can we have a time on the next show? Okay, we use Eastern because our statistics show us that's where most of you are. So that's the reason we use Eastern time. And the other reason we use Eastern time is because the rest of the world, sorry, majority of you Americans that I'm about to do a horrific stereotype against. Seriously, I'm apologise in advance. But bluntly, the rest of the world is far more used to working out time zones than the other way around. So it's much simpler if we use US Eastern time. It's the standard time we use for the 30-day challenge. However, there is this spiffy website which you can see on your screen right now. And you'll notice I just went into Google and tapped time zones. The very first thing that comes up is World Clock time zones. And you can click on that. And it's got a superb, good little clock here. And it's got a little, the one I love here is this one, which is Meeting Planner. This totally rules. So you can do up to 4 places. Addis Ababa, Abu Dhabi, Adelaide. Sorry to all the Adelaide people I offended earlier on in the podcast. Sorry about that. Aden, etc., and show your timetable. You can do that. I believe there's an awesome Firefox plugin which you can use too, which I'm sure the lads will point out to you. And if you are fortunate enough to have an iPhone, then I use and recommend... Oops, sorry, I just smacked the microphone yet again. The app that I use is... Where is it? Where's it gone? Sorry about this. Where is it? Is it like every day? iTimezone. That's it. iTimezone. Which is a super sweet iPhone app, which I use for meeting planning all the time. So that's another good tool to use. Okay. Let's have a look. The times for the next broadcast I will publish on the blog, so keep an eye out for that, because I'll have to confer with the team to see how you guys are going, because the next 2 days are crucial, so we might do a couple this week. Can I check a micro-niche keyword to see if it has a value without going through the market and niche steps? Well, yes, you can. Is that following the 30-day challenge process? No, it's not. So, yeah, sure, of course. You can do whatever you like. But we do things in a very specific order for very specific reasons. And, I hesitate for you to do anything other than doing it in the order. Now, of course, as you get good at this stuff, you do tend to jump to various elements of it. But if you don't consider yourself, a level 10 Market Samurai Master, just follow the process in the 30-day challenge. Ed, can you give some background on the phrase to broad match ratio of 15%? I will get Rob Somerville to do that, and I'll get him to explain that one, and I'll call him up in a minute. We're just having a couple little technical issues here, so I will get that explaining. Anyone else considering adult niches? Does this, yes. Does this stuff work? Will we be talking about that? No. Okay, might be too soon, but what is a good ballpark for link building with social sites? Yes, too soon. The reason I don't answer questions in the future is I do not want to confuse people off the task at hand. I've seen a lot of people over the last few days describe, 30-day challenge as being an SEO course or a pay-per-click course or a social media course or a blah, blah course. That is wrong, 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 wrong. It's the best way to start a business online using the best tools for the least amount of money course. That's what it is. We're going to use all sorts of things this year. So I don't want people to think, oh, this is an X or this is a Y, or we're going to do B strategy or we're going to use C strategy, because it's distracting. It's the end of day 2. We should have identified some phrase that pays. That's what we want to focus on. I want to promote my personal training business. Would it be best to follow all the steps for different new niches through the challenge, then adopt after? No, I would absolutely do it on your business right now. Now, and thank you for asking this question, because this is a complete contradiction to what we've been teaching you all day today in day 2. If you have a small business, and Rob and Nez remind me to do this at the top of the next broadcast because this is really important. If you have a current business, like for example, you're a personal trainer, the criteria for traffic just do not apply to you. Okay, think about this. Imagine if you were a personal trainer, well, let's use your personal trainer. Imagine you're a personal trainer in, Santa Barbara. And imagine you were getting 80 phone calls every single day for personal training. Now, that would be a lovely problem to have, but it would be impossible to deal with. In actual fact, if you got one new lead a day, if you got one call from all your 30-day challenge work every day, you'd be thrilled. For a lot of businesses, that's one more prospecting call than they had been planning on doing. So when you are doing this whole process for your own business, you've got to keep in mind, particularly if you're regional or local, because the other thing I would be encouraging you to do is to focus on your local area. Whenever you're a personal trainer, facts are, as a general rule, if you're a personal trainer in Santa Barbara on the west coast of the United States, you're not exactly likely to have too many clients in Paducah, Kentucky. So you can be much more focused, which also means that there's not as much traffic. It all depends on what are you trying to do? Are you trying to tackle a regional audience? Are you trying to tackle a global audience? So I'm going to go into this in more detail, but for those of you who are watching now or watching this later, use common sense. If you're an artist, like a musician, classic example again, getting 10 people to your band's website a day is still going to be great going, right? It's it's a whole different dynamic. We are looking to get 80 plus people a day, from our keyword when we get into that number 1 spot, because we want to get that traffic up, because we know that for information products, as a general rule, if we can sell one thing to every 200 people, we're doing real well. So that's why we want extra traffic. We want more traffic. If you're a small business, or you're taking your traditional offline business online, you don't need anywhere near that traffic. The principles, the steps, the techniques, the strategies all apply identically. Just the traffic numbers. Just, again, use common sense. Could you deal with 60 phone calls a day? That's the point there. I've just turned Andrew Nez onto being a Maya fan. That's good. I had what I thought was a good start, but the keywords kept leading to very generic words. Am I starting from a bad point? Again, what we'll do is we'll have a break, I think, in a couple of minutes' time, and then we'll come back and answer these questions, because I'd really love to have Rob Somerville on Skype to take us through and answer some of these questions, so you get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Anyone know what happened to the recording of the kickoff? I can only the Q&As. There was no recording of the kickoff. I stuffed it up. Is it normal to get frustrated because I can't find any qualified keywords for any of my selected niches? Yes, absolutely normal. But are there thousands upon thousands upon thousands? Are there hundreds of thousands? Are there millions of phrases? Yes, you just have to find them. And you have to just keep working at it. You just keep working at it. And just again, rewatch those videos. Make sure, again, you're thinking about the criteria. Are you getting the micro niche? Are you getting... Usually, the number one problem is you're not getting down to a micro niche well enough. You're not micro niching the business. Look, I'll use the actual topic here because you've mentioned it here. Can I change it? Sorry, I can't think quick enough to change it. But they're using a eco topic, an environmental topic, and they're just saying that when they type that topic in, they're getting a whole bunch of, again, very high level keywords. That's right. It's a bit like, let's use the Leica term. It's just like at the moment you're operating in the Leica camera level. You need to come down. You need to go to the Leica M8, the Leica M7 level. Okay, you're still dealing in the niche level. You need to come down to the micro niche level. Inevitably, when we do one-on-ones, when we look at keywords, it's because you are not going micro niche enough. Okay. How long does it take to start making money online? Well, we try to get you $1 in 30 days. And I think that's a pretty realistic way of looking at it. It depends on, there's all sorts of answers to that. It's a how long is a piece of string question. But at the end of the day, people have two resources available. There are two resources that you have. There are money, financial resources, and time. That's it. They're the only two. And you have to trade one of those to create a business. Now, if you've got a lot of money, you can hire a bunch of people, outsource, and do all these sorts of things and get up and running very, very quickly. If you're not in that situation, and my experience is the majority of people in the 30-day challenge are not in that situation, then you need to trade time. And you have to trade time. And I think a realistic thing is doing this challenge, doing it inside the 30 days to get your first dollar online is a realistic goal. How do we know it's realistic? Because we've had hundreds of people before you achieve it. So it's good. So we know that. Here's the thing, and this is not directly addressing your specific question, but it allows me to make a really, really important point because I know some of you are doing the 30-day challenge. If you're doing the 30-day challenge and you're 30 days away from bankruptcy, or you've got some hideous financial situation, let me put you out of your misery right now. 30-day challenge is not going to work. That's because it doesn't work, but it's because of the state that you're in. It's just not going to work. Anytime you're trying something and this is your last roll of the dice before something dire happens, you're in trouble. You're in real, real trouble. It just doesn't work. You have to resolve the dire situation and then start back again. I heard a great analogy once. If you're running down towards a volcano with the hot lava, if you try to keep yourself up, if you try to keep yourself standing up, you're going straight into that lava. The smartest thing you can do if you're falling down into a lake of lava, and should you find yourself in this situation, this is good advice, is you should fall down. You need to fall down. You need to stop trying to hold yourself up. You need to fall down, stop, and then crawl back out and start back out. This is a really, really crucial point. If you're using this challenge as your last breath, I'm with you. I feel for you. I've been in that situation at least twice in my life. You've got to understand that the best thing you can do is resolve the situation, and then bloodied, dusted, ripped clothes, and whatever other metaphor I can come up with, then you start your 30-day challenge. and then you'll see the results. Because if you don't fall down first, if you just keep trying to stand up, you get in all sorts of trouble. And that's thank you for allowing me to make that key point, because the 30-day challenge is just, let me save you the time. If you're facing that down, you need to face that situation down. Whatever situation you're in, you need to face that one down first. And then, once you've faced it down, then, the 30-day challenge is the perfect thing to do when, you're at ground zero, where you're at point zero. It's perfect then. That's made that point. How many? This is a good question, and it's further related. How many micro niches? I've found a niche which has a huge number of micro niches. How many should we pre-test? As many as you like. As you've seen with Market Samurai, I could go into another rant here about you don't know how easy you've got it, but I think I've made that point. It's up to you. If you want to spend 3 hours in Market Samurai really, really going to town, go for it. And if you want to find the best phrase, but remember, focus, remember why we're doing it. We want to find the phrase that pays. We want to find the phrase that has the least competition for the most traffic. And we want to make sure our phrase match is at least above 15%. And again, we'll talk about that. Oh, I hope that's turned off. I did turn that off, didn't I? Yes. Very good. Okay, one final question. Is it okay to use a pseudonym as my name rather than my real name? Okay. Yeah, of course, it's absolutely fine. This is a question we get very regularly. And I think it's a more important question, something you have to think through a lot more now than in the past. And that's because so much marketing is not market-based anymore. It is personality-based. It's the person, like Facebook, Twitter, most of the social media. It's not market to market. It's person to person. And that really does change up the ball game. We're going to be talking during this challenge about market understanding to market leadership, which is a crucial topic. And, well, the bumper sticker on that is this. In this day and age, let me give you a physics problem. Okay, let me give you a physics problem. Two things. If you're considering two options. One is they both have pretty much the same price. They seem to have the same option. They seem to have all the same stuff. Okay, it's pretty much equal. But one person you've never ever heard of, but this other person, you've seen them on Twitter, you see them commenting on a blog, you read their blog, you may have seen them speaking at a conference once, they've written a book on the subject, etc., 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 etc. On physics, who are you more likely to buy off? You're more likely to buy off some person that you've heard. And this is why the pseudonym question is an interesting one and a very important one. But here's the thing. This question is also a bit like, I'm a bit concerned about the tax problems. We have to make $1 first before you've got a tax problem. If you're not making any money, you do not have a tax problem. The pseudonym is not an issue until you've got a market, a niche, you've tested the traffic, you've tested everything, right? It's a down-the-track question. And one of the biggest problems and biggest mistakes people make is that they use they obsess about the pseudonym question. They obsess about which jurisdiction should I locate my business in before they got a business, before they know whether it's worth doing. And that stops them from actually going ahead and doing what we're trying to teach. Just follow the steps and go for it, and just follow these steps along. We'll deal with that at the appropriate time. You should deal with that at the appropriate time. But there's usually not a thing. If there was a thing that you have to make a decision on right now, we'll coach you right through that in the 30-day challenge. And I think that's the best answer to that question. What if I don't have a Facebook account, am I missing out on any 30DC information? No, not at all. You should have a Facebook account, though, because forget the 30-day challenge information, you're missing out potentially on 250 million people. Again, the bumper sticker on why we've got a Facebook application ourselves and why you should look at Facebook very seriously. Facebook doesn't work for all niches. It's brilliant for some and pathetic for others. But having said that, a huge number of people who used to be on the inverted commas internet have gone, and they're over on Facebook. Now, yes, of course, the Facebook is on the internet, but it's a very safe harbor. It's a place a lot of people who are on Facebook don't venture outside of Facebook. They're comfortable. They can see what their friends are doing. They can play their games. They can socialize. They can do what they need to do online. They get the information that they need. Gary Halbert, my mentor, always smacked into my head that you go where the starving crowd is. And for a lot of niches, the starving crowd's on Facebook. So that's why we recommend that you certainly start looking at that. I'll tell you right now, there'll be a lesson on that during the 30-day challenge. And of course, we've got a pre-season lesson, very helpfully, on how to get a Facebook account. Also, which is very cool, I certainly use this, I love it, is Facebook Connect. We use it, you might notice, in the forums. And so I don't have to worry about all these usernames and passwords. I just use Facebook Connect. Very handy indeed. So it's a good idea. Is the cure a health problem always a good market to get into? Are they good markets? Yes. Let me ask you another question. Where do you put yourself on this spectrum of creating a business online experience level? At right over here, level 1, I've just started, I am just learning, or just over here, I could eat Ed Dale for breakfast. Where are you on that spectrum? Because you need to be over here when it comes to health. For 2 reasons, and a very good friend of mine, Perry Belcher, had a horrific experience, made some very stupid mistakes. He'll be the first one to put his hand up. He was doing very well in the health area, but bluntly doing some stuff which was wrong, and got in horrific trouble for it. Now he's learned his lesson, and brilliant guy, but the point is that in those health markets, you really, really need to know what you're doing. Okay, so for sure, have a look at them. But I tell you what, what did Dan put up in his videos? Look at that, the people who collect old machinery, like big bulldozers and stuff. That is such an awesome market. I much prefer those sorts of markets than the health, weight loss stuff, because you're playing in big leagues. And I just ask yourself to rate yourself somewhere between 1, I'm just starting, the 30-day challenge is my first experience ever of starting an online business, or I'm prepared to take on Ed Dale and 10 people just like him in a particular marketplace. Now, I hope you all end up over there at some point, but a lot of you aren't at that point at the moment. So that's a very important thing. Lisa Hartwell, I just read that chat comment. I don't see many chat comments. I just saw that one. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, okay. I have a PhD. This is, segue, and I didn't even see this. This is a fantastic thing. I have a PhD covering several niches, but have other passions. Would it be better for a market to establish myself as a leader if I use your doctor qualification, or focus on establishing content and reputation? Okay, there's actually a couple of good questions in there. And this year, we really, and I think it's come through already through, again, the day 2 and the day 1 training, is we really do want you to spend some time this year thinking about stuff that you are either interested / passionate about, or that you're really curious about. Okay, because there's too much market understanding and market leadership work for you to do if you've just got no interest whatsoever. There are people who do that brilliantly, but in this day and age, it's a tough ask. Again, where are you on that spectrum? You know, so can you use, if you actually have a professional qualification, can you use that to your advantage? Absolutely. Let me put it to you as one of my famous physics questions. Okay, person A, person B. Person A is just a self-described enthusiast. Person B has a qualification. Who are you going to go for? Now, depending on the niche, it depends. But if it's a medical thing, then obviously the person who has the qualification. Having said that, and this comes to the second part of your question, does having a doctorate give you a free ride? No. In fact, my experience is most people rest on their thesis laurels. And let's face it, look how hard you had to work for your thesis. You know, so damn right if I'm not going to flay my doctorate about. Therefore, if I had a doctorate, I would insist on all of you in the chat room calling me Dr. Ed. I would. I'd just insist on it. Because if I had to work that hard to get that qualification, I would insist on being called Dr. Ed. However, my experience has been that a lot of people rest. They sit their butt on that doctorate and they don't go anywhere. Because a marketer, who wins? The great marketer or the great expert in any niche? Think about it yourselves. Think about a hobby or any, is necessarily the person who's the absolute expert in that area the person who's the most famous or does the best makes the most money? I will tell you, in every single market, the best marketer will outdo the best expert every single time. I saw that. Dr. Ed rather than Mr. Ed. Caro, you're sacked. No, that's right. So, well, Mr. is even bigger. That's surgeon level. What was I saying? Yes. You need to, the best marketer will always kick the ass of, you will always do much better than the person who is the expert. And that's something to keep in mind. And it is something that a lot of people forget. And so, keep an eye out on that. Okay, let's have a look. SEOT is 80 is the minimum. But what are the ranges for okay, good, very good, and awesome? You should answer your own question. Because here's the thing. It depends on the market. You will get an idea of what's very good. Like if you find, let me give you, pop quiz. If both are 15, both got a SEOC score of 15,000. So there's 15,000 competing pages. Okay, if you've got those, then if one phrase gets you 80 traffic and the other phrase gives you 220 SEOT, which one are you going to work on first? Easy. So the answer is not what's good, better, best. The answer is relative to your particular market. And the beautiful thing about Market Samurai is it totally just delivers all of that to you. Okay. Ed, why is HD the default when many computers can't run it without stalling out? Could you make SD the default? Thank you. Now, they're referring to the YouTube videos because we do default them to HD. It's a bit like the doctor question before. Why do we do that? Because we can, because they look so good. However, we'll look at the stats. Our initial stats are telling us that the vast majority of people are watching them no problem. But yes, basically in the bottom left, in fact, let me show you. Let's do show and tell. Okay, so if we go into our training page, there we are. There's our fantastic YouTube video. Now, that one isn't defaulting to HD, as it turns out. Ah, yes, it is. There we are.
Hey, we're here. Day one. Can you believe it? I certainly can, because the team here at the 30-Day Challenge have been working like dogs, let me tell you.
How good are those videos, by the way? Now, there we are. You can see here, if you squint down in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that this is in HD. Now, because the majority of people are quite capable of watching it in HD, then that's what we've defaulted it to. If you are having trouble, then please click that, and
all for
you can watch it
your
in normal
benefit. What are we going to do? I just want to today,
there you have
this intro video,
somebody calling me
just
handsome,
get across some
we
of
have
the,
plenty of other options
what
though.
you can expect work-wise
Just over here,
with
check
all
this
of this.
out.
You know, we used to say,
hang on.
and veterans will laugh at me.
Uh-oh. Hang on. There we are. Now, over here, we have a whole bunch of different versions. If you click on any of these links here, okay? If you click, on any one of these, you'll be taken to YouTube and you'll watch a YouTube version, a streaming version, if you will. Now, rookie mistake, completely understandable. The clicking on, I'll just click it on this because I don't want to kill our download. But depending on the type of computer you have,
in the last video, I took you through the Amazon magazine site, and hopefully
you can actually, these actually stream, but they're not designed to stream, and it's a mistake. Really what you want to do, and it won't show up here on this particular screen, but you need to right-click, okay? You need to right-click on any of these and download them. You can see the resolutions here. If you're on slow bandwidth, then you just go down the chart. Each one of them look great. The SD versions look fantastic. They're beautiful. And that's actually the version I watch on Apple TV. And let me tell you, on a plasma screen, it looks like a sensation. But that's a great thing to use. But again, you download it. And what's very cool, have you noticed this? Transcripts. Hooray! And very good looking transcripts they are too. So thanks Dom for that. They're awesome. So they're first, and if you can click on those and they will download. So there we have it. That's given you the different. Yeah, very good. Okay, so that's the different ways you can use it. There we are, and back. Okay, next one is Ed mentioned teams are even more important this year. Please elaborate. Internet marketing in 2009 is a team sport. Now, please, again, let me absolutely clarify this. Do I want you doing one project and have 5 of you working on that project? No, 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 and no. Absolutely not. You are to do your own 30-day challenges, but you are much better off in a team. Because the masterminding benefits, the concentration benefits. Look, we've done a whole pre-season lesson on teams. Please watch it because it really does go through and explain why teams are so useful. Here's the thing. I am in communication with my peers every single day. Every day. We have a mail list and we're asking each other questions and working on different techniques, what's working now, what's working yesterday. That's how we work. Okay. So in best practice, you want to start learning how to work that way. And, having call it team, mastermind group, support group, call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a very, very smart thing to do. I think in the 30-day challenge context in particular, as a support mechanism, it's just superb. Because, you don't want to let if it's just you, it's too easy to just disappear into nothingness, right? If you're in a team, it gives you that extra element to keep going and to keep going through and making it through the 30-day challenge because there are other people who are there who are communicating with you. So it's not so easy to disappear into the sunset. So I think that's a very good thing. Ed, in your experience, what drives the most successful internet marketers? That different question, wrong question, because every single one of them has completely different motivations as to why they're doing what they do. You know, everybody has a story. I think there are a whole bunch of common elements in terms of the most successful people and the most successful 30-day challenges. They all have a bunch of character traits. And we're talking about those all through this 30-day challenge. It's a new feature of this 30-day challenge, and Carl Moore will be talking about it. You know, and there are people who take action. There are people who just follow the steps. There are people, they manage the stats. They measure their stats. They do all the sorts of things. All the sorts of things that we're teaching you during this 30 days. So they have a whole bunch of common traits, but what drives them? Every one of them has a different, everyone has a different motivation, a different story, if you will, that got them to where they're at. I'm a first timer and don't understand in the end, am I going to be selling a product to make the money? Well, by definition, you have to sell something to make some money, or provide a service to make some money, or be a referrer to a service to make some money. But the point is, that's not even an issue for you at the moment. It's literally counting your chickens before they're hatched. At the moment, focus on the market. I implore you, when I see a question like this, I implore you, just follow the steps. Just follow the steps. We've talked about it. Think about day one. I told you what we were going to do. I told you in the expectations video. I told you in the day one intro video 3 times in the last 72 hours. I've spoken about this very specific thing, and I'm happy to keep on keeping on explaining it, because it's vital for you just to keep following the specific steps. Go and have a look at the day one video on the Magnificent Symphony of 4 parts. Go and have a look at the expectations video in pre-season. It's the second to last one. And that will tell you where you're going, okay? It'll give you the roadmap. But once you know your destination, please, let's just follow on whether the next turn is coming up in 300 yards and whether it's left or right. That's the only thing we need to focus on right now. Okay. Where do you stand with list building versus microsite? You do microsite hitting niches more, don't you? Wrong question. Completely wrong question. Because that's a product question. It's right at the end of the process. Whether we do list building, whether you do a microsite, and for those of you who don't know those two terms, don't panic. They're just different strategies for making money in a particular marketplace. But the thing is that I'll let the marketplace tell me what the best way to do it is. I think that question also alludes to another very big, and it's a big change, huge change. Was I used to be in the microsites business? Does Carl Moore do magnificently in the microsite business? In other words, I used to have 38 sites across 38 different niches. Okay, in the old days you could do that. In fact, one person operating in a room could do that. Carl does it now, but Carl is a pretty extraordinary human being. Okay, remember this? He's he's like at level 12. Okay, he's a level 12 dungeon master, Carl. So my view is, for the majority of people, is that you need to look and focus at one market, particularly when it comes to market understanding and market leadership, which again, don't worry if they mean nothing to you. By the end of the 30 days, they'll mean a lot to you. I think it's much smarter these days to, sure, at the start, and as we're doing now, right? Currently, we're evaluating 6 or 7 different niches, right? So this is a big part of it. So we're filtering down ourselves. So we're looking at a whole bunch of different things, and then we'll let the market tell us which is the best one. And I suspect that's a very good thing. What is OCI and Market Samurai, and when do you search for that? If we didn't show you, there was a reason. It'll come later on. So just again, and I don't mind saying it and repeating it, just follow the steps. Don't get ahead of yourself, particularly when it comes to Market Samurai, because here's what's going to happen to you. Let me predict your future Nostradamus style. Here's what's going to happen to you. You're going to start playing around in Market Samurai. You're going to get confused at some point. And then you're going to look outside and think, you know what, it's summer. Summer's, I've got to take advantage of this. My lawn needs mowing. maybe I should take the jet ski out. Maybe I should go surfing, blah, 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 blah. Right? Because that time and energy you spent poking around, say Market Samurai, is time that you've expended that you should be using to save up and use that energy for day 3, day 4, day 5. History, why can I be so confident of that? 5 years of doing this, and you see it every year. So, it's hard for a lot of people, because particularly when for some people, it'll be very easy. For the majority, they appreciate the pace and will never apologize for the pace because we've been very deliberate. I'd much rather go slower and have a no person left behind policy than try to cater for the people who want to race ahead. Because my experience, if you want to talk about characteristics of successful, the best internet marketers, the best that is slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race every time. Okay, if you have a specific niche that also has related niche words, example, design materials, design and materials keywords also relate to other unrelated niches. How does this work in analysis? Well, one of two things happens. It'll either lead you up to a wonderful wellspring of new potential markets, but again, let's follow the focus and the strategies, or it could lead you down a wormhole. Okay, you've got to use your judgment, because it is really market specific, so it's very hard to give you a solid rule there. But I know when I'm using Market Samurai, I'm often fascinated by something that pops up that I would have never considered in the first place. And so that's, that is something that you do have to consider. Is the 30-day challenge good for an e-commerce store? Yes, it is, but that is also a product question, because you can have the best e-commerce store in the world with the best prices and the coolest tech and everything that's brilliant. But if the market's not interested in buying anything, you've just wasted all your time. So please, let's focus on the market. E-commerce store is a great strategy in the right market for the right time. But why not let the market tell you, instead of wasting all that time, energy, enthusiasm, and effort in setting up an e-commerce store when you don't know whether they're going to buy anything from you in the first place? There is no excuse for risk in business. That's a fundamental mantra I have, and a controversial one. The only thing you should risk in business is time, and particularly an online business. And that's what I love about the 30-day challenge, because the people who get it, the people who just do the steps, take all the risk out of it. Now, notice I say take the risk. Notice I do not say guarantee success, because like so many things in life, whether it's Warren Buffett's investment analysis, Stephen King's writing, or indeed the 30-day challenge, the best systems are systems that are designed to help you stop wasting your time. Okay, guaranteeing a result is useless. Any system that tells you that they're going to guarantee a successful result is one that should have red flags all over it. What there are plenty of systems that are really, really good at is identifying duds. Okay, because a dud is a dud is a dud is a dud. And the 30-day challenge is about identifying and stopping you from wasting months of your life. And that's what's so important. I read an interesting, unrelated, and perhaps exotic example of this, that with all of this whole terror stuff that's happened over the past 7 years, our ability to pick a terrorist at an airport has not improved 1 single percentage point. What is fascinating, though, is while it's very, very hard to screen for terrorists, what it's extremely easy to screen for, and in fact they have a very high success rate, is it's very easy to screen for people who are not terrorists. Think about that. Think about that analogy. We're doing the same thing. We are wanting to screen out for all the markets that are just going to waste our time and all the keywords that are going to waste our time, to focus on the few. And like panning for gold, like searching for diamonds, like doing anything that's damn any use of any of your time and that's going to give you any sort of serious result, you have to move a lot of coal to get to the diamond. You have to get a lot of the dirt in that gold pan to get the gold. These are not just amusing little homilies. They are facts and fundamentals of life. That anything worth doing involves a lot of sorting and sifting. That is a very big part of it. So, yeah. Okay. Do I need to worry about using Market Samurai too much and going blind? No, actually saying is Google shut me down. I asked this because of the comments in training that filtering is so important. Yes, they are trying to save you themselves, because if you do use Market Samurai too much, you will go blind. No, it's not true. Like anything in life, you should use it in moderation. But here's the thing. If you just, again, if you look at what were brilliant lessons today by the Market Samurai team, round of applause for the Market Samurai team and their awesome videos in day 2. If you just use Market Samurai the way it was designed to be used, you're not going to have a problem. Not going to have a problem. But if you don't listen, don't follow along the steps, don't listen to what the Noble Samurai tell you, then, yep, you could have a problem. And will you get banned from Google? No. Even worst case scenario is that you'll find you go to type in a Google search and it'll ask you to put in one of those captcha things. So, it's not it's not a big deal. Okay. At the end of the 30 days, do the websites need maintenance? Yes, they do. Anybody who tells you that you can just turn a switch, then go away and lay on the beach and just sit there and suck Mai Tais and just count the checks coming through metaphysically on your iPhone, they are full of poo. Okay, bull. It's, again, you talk about one of the fundamentals of life. We talked about how you have to find anything of value, you have to filter through a lot of crud to find something of value. That is a fundamental law. Fundamental law. I don't care what. You can apply it to photography. You can apply it to online marketing. You can apply it to gold prospecting. Another fundamental law is if something is not growing, it is dying. It's a biological fact. If you sit back and do not work on a business, I don't care how push button somebody tells you it is crud. The closest push button business that I've ever seen in my life is what Carl Moore does. Okay, he's the best. He's the man. Like, he's the golden standard for what an info product marketer should be. The best, absolute best in the business. And I know, as you know, I count myself fortunate to move in a fairly rarefied circle. And Carl does it. But do you think Carl doesn't pay attention to the numbers? He doesn't follow the statistics. He doesn't measure and manage and do those things. Of course he does. Now, does he do it in less time? Does he make more money for less time compared to, say, somebody working a 40-hour week? Yeah, that's part of the excitement. So that is a cool element. Now, I am just going to, let me just, oops. Oh, dear. Okay, I'm just going to stop recording for a second. Just chat amongst yourselves with the vain hope that we'll be able to get this onto YouTube, but I don't think we will because I've already gone too long. Sorry about that. I hope you're finding this worthwhile. I hope this is useful. Okay. Back in a sec.